Good afternoon. I'm First Alert meteorologist Robert Johnson. We're cutting into regular programming because we now have a tornado warning that is in effect for Halifax County until 4:30. So you see it there, right there on your screen. We were just on the air moments ago talking about a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this region due to the large hail that this storm was producing. This storm has gotten even stronger, and now it is rotating, and there we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. So there you see it on the regular radar scan, and what we want to do at this time is show you a different view. This is our rotation view, so what we call storm relative velocity, meaning this is where we're able to see the rotation as to where this storm is rotating, where there could be a tornado. There's no confirmation of a tornado at this time, but this is where a tornado could be, and it's really right around Enfield. So you see all these weird colors here, and we don't often see this on First Alert Doppler Net. And for those of you just joining us, Robert Johnson here on ABC11 as we are tracking this tornado warning in effect for Halifax County until 4:30. I'm showing you the different view of radar, which is the velocity view. Green is where you have a storm, winds that are pushing toward the radar site. Red is where you have winds that are pushing away from the radar site. And that area that I circled along 301, crossing over Enfield, that is where we have the most amount of rotation, and that's where a tornado could be. So we'll go back to the regular view here and show you more of what you can expect with this storm. We'll widen the view and go back to it. And there it is, a tornado warning in effect for Halifax County until 4:30. I'm tracking this along with Chief Meteorologist Don Schwenneker. Here's more of what the National Weather Service is telling us in regard to this storm, that the warning is in effect until 4:30, heavy rain, gusty winds, and loads of lightning as well. So here's what you need to know for what to do if you are in this tornado warning or if you are ever in a tornado warning. So what you want to do is put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Get away from the top floor of your home. So here are some good safety tips for dealing with a tornado warning. The most damage occurs on the top floor. So get low, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to stay away from all windows and doors, and instead try to get to a bathroom or an interior hallway or closet. That's the best place to be. It's also helpful, if you have time and can do so safely, to get some shoes on your feet, so that way if there is any damage or debris, you're not stepping on it once you leave your safe place. And if you have a helmet, maybe a biker's helmet, that's also helpful as well, so that way you're able to protect yourself after the warning is all done. So let's go back to First Alert Doppler Net as we track this tornado warned storm. It's not the only storm that we have out here right now, but it is certainly one of the storms out there. And we see a couple updates coming in just now from the National Weather Service. So the wider view shows that we have scattered showers and storms across the region, basically from southern Virginia all the way down into the far northeastern section of Wake County, where there's a severe thunderstorm warning in place for Wake County, into Nash County as well, in northern Johnston County, and a new update coming in from the National Weather Service where we have another severe thunderstorm warning that's in place for Halifax County, and that severe thunderstorm warning is in place until 4:30, just like the tornado warning is in place until 4:30. So we'll switch the radar view a bit so that way we can give you a more detailed description of what's happening with this radar. This is our radar, First Alert Doppler Net, and this is the National Weather Service radar. And what I want to do here is change modes on the radar because we're getting more scans coming into our information system, into our computer system, helping us to really dictate where the rotation is, and it's still in that same place. So this is the velocity mode where you see the greens and the reds, and when you see them close together, that indicates an area of rotation. Let's zoom in even more so that way we can give you a better idea of where this rotation is and potentially where a tornado is. So if you are along Highway 481, anywhere in and around Enfield near 301, of course this is a much more rural portion of our viewing area, but still just as important. Randolph Pines Road will squeeze in even a little tighter, Ringwood Road, and then we'll go down just a little bit more along Ringwood Road. If you are in that region, then you certainly want to take shelter. That's where, if we have a tornado, that's where it is most likely to be. Again, this warning runs until 4:30. This cell that developed very quickly has been sliding to the northeast ever so slightly at just 15 miles per hour. So it's moving through very slowly. And what I want to do now is track this system over the past 30 minutes or so. Let's go back in time where we were seeing just a little bit of rotation on this cell just about 20, 30 minutes ago. And then it really blossomed. The rotation tightened. You could see it there just west of Enfield, now over Enfield, about to cross 301. And here's what I'll do. I'll put a track on this. Again, it's moving to the northeast very slowly at 15 miles per hour. So if we track this out northeast at 15, think about if you were in P Hill at 421, that area of rotation would be over you at approximately this time if the rotation does end up holding together. So that's going to be something that is really important to remember as this system slowly slides to the northeast, and we'll continue to track that tornado warning. Something else I want to show you here on First Alert Doppler Net, and a threat that really cannot go unnoticed here, is the other severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect, because this cell that is just to the south, while it's not tornado warned, it can still cause just as much damage as a tornado, if not more. So it's not like we just talk about the tornado warning and not the severe thunderstorm warning, because both are real and serious threats that you want to take seriously. Look at all that lightning, all that red on First Alert Doppler Net. These intense storms that are very quickly shifting out of Wake County and moving to the northeast. Again, this warning is in place until 4:15 for Franklin County, parts of Johnston County, into Nash County, Wake County too. So that's very important to be aware of as it continues to slide to the northeast through Bailey, Spring Hope, and then continues its track even closer to I-95. All right, you see a blinking box there, that magenta box where we have the tornado warning, and that's the National Weather Service updating this warning, giving us a little bit more insight as to what they see. They're now saying that the storm is moving just a little bit faster to the east at 20 miles per hour rather than northeast at 15 miles per hour. All that makes a big difference because these systems can twist, they can turn. Again, we don't have confirmation of a tornado warning, but certainly we do see rotation inside this cell. And since we are getting another scan that's popping up, let's go right back to that and see where that area of rotation is. We'll dig down even more. We're still seeing that area of rotation where you see those reds and greens really close together. That's the best area of rotation. You'll often hear us talk about velocity scans, and there's two velocity scans that we talk about. Right now, I'm looking at the regular velocity scan, but if we go to a different velocity scan called storm mean relative velocity, just another way of how we track these storms, that can also help us to indicate where we see some areas of rotation, and we do still see that in and around Enfield, but the better view of it is on the velocity scan. So again, we'll track this over the past 30 minutes or so. You see that rotation, the greens and the reds close together just to the west of Enfield. It continues to slide to the east and northeast, getting ready to cross over 301 along Enfield. Lots of lightning with this system. Again, some of you just joining us or getting ready to join us for Eyewitness News at 4. Robert Johnson here. Chief Meteorologist, Big Weather Don Schwenneker. He is also tracking the system. We'll hear from him, I'm sure, in a little bit as well. Let's go back to the regular view of First Alert Doppler Net, and notice it's not just the rotation that is threatening, but also this thing is packing a punch with gusty winds, heavy rain, loads of lightning. So even if you don't have a tornado with this cell, certainly you don't want to be outside during any part of this whatsoever. And just moments ago, the National Weather Service did issue a tornado watch that's in place until 11 o'clock, basically for the eastern half of our viewing area. Remember, a watch means we're watching the situation, and a warning means you need to take shelter. So think about Barbara Gibbs cakes. We like to use that example quite a bit. Well, if she has the ingredients to make a cake, then that's your tornado watch. But if she actually has a cake or she's about ready to have a cake, then that's your tornado warning. And the area you see there in yellow, that's a tornado watch in effect, basically from Wake County and areas to the east until 11 o'clock tonight. But it's that red area you see there in Halifax County, that's the tornado warning, and that's what we're watching out for. So back to First Alert Doppler Net we go as we track this tornado warned storm. Again, we have several showers and storms across our region. They're just getting started, and they're dumping loads of rain. So there you see, I put some storm tracks on this as we track the storm over the past hour, this hour loop. And notice those cylinders that are cycling, that gives us an early indication that there is some rotation, and we're still seeing that on this radar scan. So we'll flip the radar view. Let's get rid of some of this lightning and go down into the cell yet again as more scans are coming in. Obviously a very fluid situation. We'll flip to the National Weather Service radar that is helping us to track this storm. And now notice how that area of rotation has moved. That red and that green tightly packed together just to the north of Enfield, right over 301. If we were to put this into a timestamp for about the past 30 minutes, you could see how the rotation was just northwest of Enfield if we drag this back. And now it is just to the north of Enfield, crossing 301, around 20 miles per hour. So it's moving at approximately a pretty slow clip. It did speed up a little bit, and now it's moving to the northeast a little bit slower than it once did. Let's put another track on this, just so that way we can give you some timestamps if this holds together. Northeast a little bit slower than it once did. Let's put another track on this, just so that way we can give you some timestamps if this holds together. Crowell Crossroads, 421, Tillery, approximately 437. Again, that's if this holds together, and the warning in place until 4:30. As mentioned, some of you just joining us right now for Eyewitness News at 4 o'clock, and a different start to the 4 o'clock news. I'm meteorologist Robert Johnson, tracking this tornado warning cell that's in effect until 4:30 for Halifax County. And something we've done quite a bit here when we have gotten tornado warnings is pop up this QR code, because even though most of you watching right now are not in this tornado warning, it still could happen for your neighborhood, whether it be tonight or at another time in the future. So this is a moment to look at the screen, take out your phone, and then pop your camera up against the screen, take a picture or get ready to take a picture of this QR code, click on the link that pops up. I'll leave it up for about 20 more seconds or so, and that takes you to our website where you're able to see more tornado warning safety tips, because it's always important to know where to go during these types of situations. So there it is, your tornado warning safety QR code. Let's go to First Alert Predictor, because First Alert Predictor has been doing a better job keeping up with those showers and storms. I was talking about this last night on Eyewitness News at 11, and then even earlier today on Eyewitness News at noon, that the models really have not been doing a great job. But one thing that's great about this particular model that we have is that it updates every hour. So even if it's not doing a great job earlier in the day, it can still get up to speed, if you will. And now it's doing that really well, indicating that we do have some showers and storms basically in our northeast. And then as we drag this out, here's 5 o'clock, more clusters of showers and storms, mainly along and east of I-95 from Wilson up through Roanoke Rapids. We'll drag this into the 6 o'clock hour. And of course, there are a lot of cookouts today. People are outside. They're trying to make sure that they can be with those who they love and remember and honor this day. By 6 o'clock, still some showers and storms, not quite as strong. And then even as we approach the 7 o'clock hour, a lingering shower or storm. And we talked about this earlier today on Eyewitness News at noon, that today is going to be a day where it's really feast or famine. So where it rains, it pours. We mentioned that a lot during the noon newscast, where if you do get some showers and storms, they're really going to blossom, or you're going to get nothing at all. And that seems to be the case. That is panning out. We do want to widen the view a bit and show you this severe thunderstorm warning that is now exiting Wake County and continues its track very quickly to the northeast at approximately 45 miles per hour. So this is different from the tornado warning. This is another cell that's just now leaving Zebulon and continues to slide into Nash County through Spring Hope, clipping the southernmost portion of Franklin County, again exiting Wake County, exiting Johnston County, and just to the north of Wilson County. That warning is in effect for about the next 13 minutes or so, but this was packing a punch with some really gusty winds. And then we'll slide to the north. And we'll go back to this one cell that we've been tracking very closely, this severe thunderstorm warning and tornado warning that's in effect for Halifax County. Okay, and we'll slide in on that tornado warning even more. You see that pink box that is still in Halifax County. You see it blinking there. Well, that's an indication that we're getting yet again another update coming in from the National Weather Service. And it's still moving to the east at approximately 15 miles per hour. And there's still some areas of rotation that we're picking up on the radar site. At this point, we don't have any indication of a confirmed tornado, but it's certainly something that we are watching as we continue to get more updates from the National Weather Service. So that's something to keep in mind as we go through the rest of this duration of the tornado warning. But the National Weather Service saying a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 9 miles south of Halifax, moving to the east at approximately 15 miles per hour. And when we get another radar scan, that helps us to know that there's an update, or could be an update, in terms of the rotation that is on this cell. So let's go back to that view of First Alert Doppler. and show you the velocity image. We'll flip back to the National Weather Service radar site and give us a really good scan of the velocity image. Let's take off the lightning there for a minute just to give us a clearer view. And notice there you see still not too many changes here, but we're still seeing rotation just north of Enfield crossing 301 as we've been talking about for the past 20 minutes or so. And that rotation was just west of Enfield and now continues its track north of Enfield. And we'll keep that theme going as this system continues to slide to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. But that tornado warning remains in place until 4:30. And you just see another scan coming in just now, and you see it jumped even farther to the northeast. Let's zoom in and get some roads down. So, of course, 301 is the main one that we're watching for. If there is a tornado, then it will be right over this region. So if you're hearing me there, if you are in Trestle Road or Wolverine Drive or Piper Lane, certainly you want to be in your safe place. We'll try to get a couple more roads down. Green Acres Road or Kansas Drive, if you're hearing me there, you certainly want to be in your safe place there too. So that will be huge if you can get to your safe place, again, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Something else that we like to pop up every now and again on First Alert DopplerNet is this feature that's known as a correlation coefficient, helping us to see if there is a debris ball, if there is debris being lofted. We're not seeing that on the radar. That's good news. We don't want to see that on the radar. But we are still seeing some areas of rotation continuing just to the northeast of Enfield crossing over 301. And even if you're not impacted by what could be a tornado in this situation, you still want to be inside because this system is packing some gusty winds. And as we put the lightning on, loads of lightning popping up on First Alert DopplerNet. We'll widen the view even more to show you the other cells that are around the region. So we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in place, and we have some scattered showers and storms even outside of the warnings. And basically for the rest of the night, we're going to continue to see more of the same. For much of the day outside of this morning, it was bone dry. Again, outside of the morning with lots of clouds, it's warm, it's humid. But the thing is, once these storms have the ability to form, then they really burst into flames because they're tapping into a really ripe atmosphere where it is not only warm, it is extremely humid out there. We've got dew points in the 70s, which is an indication that we are tapping into this really tropical air mass. So once those storms form, then they're really able to blossom. Let's zoom back into that other severe thunderstorm warning that's now leaving Wake County, sliding out of Zebulon. This warning still in effect for about the next 9 minutes until 4:15. And this is mainly in effect for Nash County. Nash County is getting the brunt of this storm right now. Still some gusty winds, loads of lightning, and heavy rain there. And then in the southernmost portion of Franklin County, that's also being clipped by the storm there too. Something to remember here as well is that those of you, there's some of you who often watch us on whether it be YouTube TV or Hulu Live TV, or you're streaming us on ABC11.com. There is a little bit of a delay there if you're streaming us. So especially for those of you that are in the tornado warning, if you're streaming us, know that you're getting this information about 1 to 2 minutes later. It's important to keep that in mind. And we see more blinking boxes there, as the National Weather Service has decided, and not surprisingly so, to expand the severe thunderstorm warning that was once in Wake County, now for areas to the northeast as the storm continues to move to the northeast very quickly. So now a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 4:45 for Edgecombe County, Franklin County, Halifax County, into Nash County. So basically we're watching two main cells right here, and I'll take this warning box off, because we have this one cell that is moving out of Wake County and another cell that is through Halifax County, and then that continues to all slide to the northeast. But those are the two main cells that we're watching right now. Still some other showers and storms out there, but there's even more to come as we go through the night. And now big weather, Chief Meteorologist Don Schwenneker, we've both been talking about this afternoon, and we can expect even more storms. But of course, the main one right now, that tornado warning in effect for Halifax County.
As a matter of fact, they just expanded a severe thunderstorm warning too for Northampton County. Robert will talk more about that in just a bit. Good afternoon to you. If you're just joining us, the time right now is 4:08. We are live with team coverage as we continue to track a tornado warning in effect in our viewing area. It does include Enfield. It is pushing up to the north and to the east. That tornado warning running until 4:30 this afternoon. Doppler radar indicated this tornado. We're going to zoom down in. in on this area, and you can see very strong storms, a lot of lightning associated with this as well as it continues to work off to the north and east along 301, US 301, and pressing off into portions of Northampton and Halifax counties. Kroll's Crossroads, Tillery, State Highway 481. This is the area we're looking at. There's Kroll's Crossroads up there. This is right where this is tracking, right along US 401. Now, let me go ahead and switch modes on the radar. I'm going to zoom it out just a little bit, save this image so I can come back to it as needed. But we want to take a look at the rotation inside this and see what we're seeing as far as velocity goes. We can look and see if there's any, and there is a little bit of rotation happening here. So we'll zoom down in. I'll show you what we're talking about. It's this area right here. Now, one of the great things about Doppler radar is not only does it show us where the raindrops are, it shows which way those raindrops are pointed. And so we can actually see a storm start to rotate, and we see that rotation inside the storm with this system. Here it is, 301. Burgundy indicates the raindrops are moving away from the radar. Green indicates they're moving toward the radar. So in this area right here, now north of Enfield, you're in the clear now, so that is good news. But in this area northeast of Enfield, that's where that rotation is. And we're seeing inside this storm, this is what triggered that tornado warning from the National Weather Service that runs for another 20 minutes or so. A lot of times with a tornado, you might see a big jump in the lightning, and we certainly have lots of lightning associated with this. I want to take a look at a different rotation. This is called storm relative velocity. This can show us if there's rotation in here as well. It's just a different way of looking at it, basically. And we are seeing some, again, in that 301 area right there. Kroll's Crossroads 301 and 481. I'll zoom it out a little bit. You can see this green and this burgundy. When it's stacked next to each other, and the green, we just got an update. The green got a little more intense there. When we see that rotation stacked next to each other, the National Weather Service calls that gate-to-gate shear. Basically, when you have one piece of the atmosphere next to the other piece of the atmosphere, almost like a gate, two portions of a gate that come together. When you have those right next to each other and one wind's blowing one way and the wind's blowing the other way, you get that rotation. So we get this gate-to-gate shear, and that's what we're looking for right here. And that's what we're seeing with that storm. Again, we're seeing that rotation around that area of showers and storms in Enfield pressing off. This will pass just southeast of Halifax. And Northampton County is not under this tornado warning, but Northampton County, you're under a different National Weather Service office. So if you live up here in southwestern Northampton County, especially if you live east of Halifax, you need to be in your safe spots, even though you're not under a tornado warning at the moment, because that is what is headed your way, that area of the showers and storms. We go back to radar. They did shrink this box a little bit because even though Enfield, you're not technically in the clear, look at all the lightning associated with this. We'd like to take a look and see if there's a lot of lightning inside a storm. That means there's a lot of dynamics in that storm. There's a lot of electricity in that storm. There was a study done several years ago that showed an increase in positive lightning strikes in an area of storms that could spawn a tornado. And so that's why lightning is important to us. We use that live lightning tracker to see where the lightning is. Now, we haven't forgotten about the rest of the viewing area. I'm going to zoom it out a little bit. I want to show you all the different warnings we have in effect. There's still one for eastern Wake County, but eastern Wake County, you're clear on that one. The next one now is right here. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 4:45. This includes Spring Hope. It does include Rocky Mount, Castalia, I-95, right in the heart of this severe thunderstorm, as that's pressing off to the north and east. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning running until 4:45 this afternoon. And then just as I took control from Robert, you could see that we also had this box flash on here. I'm going to zoom it out. It tends to focus on the tornado warning, but this is the Northampton one. We'll go back to that in a little bit. It's just right on the edge of Seaboard there. This is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect in Northampton County. That one runs until 5 o'clock. Again, remember I mentioned that Northampton County is under a different National Weather Service office than Raleigh. It's actually under the Virginia one, Wakefield, Virginia. And so they have a different office watching it. Right now, they've got a severe thunderstorm warning issued. If this storm continues to show rotation, then they would expand that tornado warning. And I can bring my card over here a little bit. So I can work on it, still talk to you, still show you what's going on in the background. We've got this all new setup here to help us stay with you and walk you through what we're seeing as far as severe weather goes. I want to look at a couple other more tools. Oh, it looks like they just issued another severe thunderstorm warning now. This one includes Scotland Neck and Hobgood, Roseneath to Leggett, just north of Leggett, Whitakers. You can see this box right here that's just blinking. This is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning being issued by the National Weather Service right now. We still have that tornado warning back here, but this storm, even though it may not have rotation in it, is still going to slide up to the north and east. This is still going to work into that area north of Scotland Neck. So because of that, the National Weather Service issuing a severe thunderstorm warning for that area. Let me get a time on that. I got to slide it up a little bit. The latest time on that is... see if we can get it to focus. It tends to try and focus on all the other warnings that are in an area. Here we go. This should take care of it. 5:15, Edgecombe and Halifax counties now under a severe thunderstorm warning until 5:15 this afternoon. The bulk of this thunderstorm activity is firing mainly in the northeastern part of our viewing area. Western part, the sun is actually out. If you're watching in Roxborough or Orange County right now or Chatham County, things are pretty quiet at the moment. But we've had all that heat, all that humidity in place that's been building throughout the day. And that's what's triggering these showers and these thunderstorms. We're on the air right now live until 4:30 with this tornado warning that stays in effect for Halifax County. And meteorologist Robert Johnson is watching the latest from the National Weather Service. So should they cancel that or change it, he'll have an update for you as we go. But again, we have that tornado warning in effect till 4:30. Basically, if you're in Halifax, Northampton, Edgecombe County, Nash County, you've got some rocking thunderstorms over you. You need to be in your safe spots and just let this area of storms pass through. We could see winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. Also, there's a possibility of hail. Let's check our hail tracker real quick. And I've got that selected on here. Let me just go down and call it up. And so, we see a little bit in there. So potential hail, look at this. If we zoom down in, here's another reason this one near Whitakers is severe. So you can see that green area right here. This takes all the radar, takes all the lightning, takes all the rain off the map and just shows us the possibility of potential hail. And where we're seeing this area of potential hail southeast of Whitakers. Now, let me see if I can get a size on this. So that's 1.3 inches. So you're talking at least ping pong ball size hail possible inside this storm southeast of Whitakers. Oh, it looks like they're issuing a new tornado warning with this. It's just coming on right now. You're seeing it as I'm seeing it. A brand new tornado warning being issued by the National Weather Service with that cell. Let's go ahead and show you where that is. So here is this new tornado warning now, in effect until 5 o'clock this afternoon. It includes Edgecombe County, Halifax counties. You were already under a severe thunderstorm warning. You're now under a tornado warning from Whitakers up towards Scotland Neck, Enfield. This warning continues. The first area of rotation was back with this one. Seems there's more down toward Whitakers. Let's take a look at our rotation inside this storm. And that, again, you're seeing it issued right now, live on air. We've been talking about this cell and the potential for it to turn severe. It turned severe. Then we were talking about the severe thunderstorm warning just as the National Weather Service issues a tornado warning. You're seeing it as we're getting it into our weather center. Let's take a look at for rotation inside that. I want to go back to that velocity for a second. Sometimes where this is, it's getting away from the radar site, so it can be sometimes a little bit harder to see that rotation as you get out there. Oh no, there's rotation in there. There's a couple areas. I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a moment. Let me get focused on this first. Okay, so this is rotation. Again, we can see raindrops. We can see which way they're moving. Some are moving toward the radar. Some are moving away from the radar. And where you see these bright green areas, that indicates possibly some very strong gusty winds. There's one northeast of Enfield. There's another one just south of Whitakers. Both of those have the potential to see some rotation. This is storm relative velocity. I want to check out the other velocity we issue from the National Weather Service. This one, it's showing two pockets, the one north of Enfield and the one south of Whitakers. It's a little more washed out. It's not as bright green. Excuse me, but you can see some rotation up here northeast of Enfield. You got some down here east of Whitakers, both of those sliding off to the north and to the east. And that's why we will be live now for the next 40 minutes or so on air tracking a tornado warning. Robert Johnson, meteorologist Robert Johnson, has more on that. Robert, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so we're just getting an update in now, Don, from the National Weather Service office in Raleigh, saying that the tornado warning has been canceled for Halifax County. That was the one that was in and around Enfield. They've canceled that tornado warning, but we're still on the air with continuous coverage because we have still another tornado warning, the one that Don was just talking about moments ago, and that tornado warning remains in effect until 5 o'clock tonight. So, of course, you've got all these boxes around, and I'm going to simplify this view for you so that way you can focus on one thing at a time, because there's a lot going on when storms get ramping up and get firing up. And there's a lot happening there. Of course, some heavy rain as indicated by the areas of red and maroon, and loads of lightning. We'll take off the lightning for a moment and just focus on the area of rotation. So this is the regular radar view that you're used to seeing on First Alert Doppler Net. Well, now let's go to the velocity scan, which is what Don was talking about in terms of the twisting and the turning of the winds. Where you see the green, that's wind going toward the radar site. Where you see red, that's wind going away from the radar site. And that's where you have an area of rotation. It's those areas of rotation where we are able to detect where a tornado may be. If you have a tornado warning, does that mean that you officially have a tornado? No, but it means that you want to treat this warning as if there is a tornado on the ground. You don't want to take your chances. So let's zoom in into this area of rotation even more. I'm going to list off some street names so that way if you're in this area, then you are able to better understand where this tornado may be if indeed there is one. So 7 Bridges Road. We're also looking at Rocky Top Lane. We'll slide in even more. 303. If you're along that road, Normandy Lane. And then we'll slide down a couple more so we can see a few more roads that are around this neighborhood. Lancaster Farm Road is one of them, and Johns Lane too. So be sure that if you are in this region especially, you want to be in your safe place. Here's more of what the National Weather Service is saying about this storm. Of course, earlier Don was talking about the big hail threat that was indicative for this storm in and around Whitakers, but we also have the twisting and the turning of the winds that are aiding in the potential to see a tornado warning. And the thing is, we're not done for the night, not just yet. There is a tornado watch that's in place from Mecklenburg County in Virginia through Granville County down into Wake County, through Harnett County, Cumberland County. It also includes Hoke and Scotland counties as well. And all those areas to the east, basically, if you're along I-95 and areas to the east, then you are under this tornado watch that is in place until 11 o'clock tonight. And we still have a tornado warning in place for part of Edgecombe County and eastern Halifax County until 5 o'clock tonight. Back to First Alert Doppler Net we go as we widen the view and track these showers and storms. It really is for the northeasternmost portion of our region. As we watch these storms, we'll flip the radar so we get an even better view. Notice all this lightning. You can't even see where the heavy rain is because we have all this lightning on the map. If I turn off this tornado warning cell just for a moment, again, the warning is still there, but if I turn it off for a moment, you can see that we have severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect from Nash County all the way up into Northampton County. So just clusters of storms that were apart, that were separate. Now they're congealing. Now they're coming together with a damaging wind threat, loads of lightning, and heavy rain. That's not to be discounted either. Obviously, when a tornado warning occurs, we have wall-to-wall coverage. We continue talking about it. But even if you are not in a tornado warning, you still want to make sure that even if you're in a severe thunderstorm warning, those severe thunderstorm warnings with strong straight-line wind gusts can do just as much damage, if not more damage, than a tornado. So that's important to keep in mind. We're getting another scan coming in from the National Weather Service, Don. I know you're tracking this as well, and we were talking a lot about lightning, and you have some lightning safety tips.
Yeah, let's just give you a reminder because we're going to see lightning throughout the next several hours. I know we saw some big boomers last night. Let's talk lightning safety and let's talk tornado safety real quick. And then we'll get back to the latest update. Robert's watching radar right now, so any more warnings are issued, we'll have them for you first. But the team coverage continuing, lightning safety. Remember, when thunder roars, go indoors. You're just not safe outside. You can see lightning sometimes 100 miles away. There's no such thing as heat lightning. In the olden days when when the settlers were on the Great Plains, they'd see lightning on hot days in the distance, and they'd think it was caused by the heat. That's not true. It's just a thunderstorm that's way out there, too far away to hear the thunder. So you can see lightning a long ways away and still be safe. But when thunder roars, go indoors. You are not safe anywhere outside. If there are no buildings close by, get in a car with your windows up. Hardtop vehicles are better. Unfortunately, convertibles can actually allow the electricity to pass into the interior and create all kinds of problems if you're in a convertible with a soft top. Now, a hard top is a different story. Lightning is not like the movies. It's not like lightning hits your car and blows it up. That's not what happens. Usually, lightning will hit the car, it will dissipate through the metal throughout the body of the car, and it will jump to the ground. So, lightning can strike up to 10 miles away from any rainfall. So, even if it's not raining and you're hearing thunder, when thunder roars, go indoors. Let's talk tornado safety too, because this is something that you tend to forget it until it's on top of you, and then you need to worry about it. But it's always a good thing to review. So if we're looking at tornado safety, remember, here's our house. Stay away from the second floor. Most of the damage that's going to happen during a tornado is going to happen on the second floor. It's going to happen in those upper areas, so you want to stay away from that. You want to go to an interior room, like a bathroom or a closet. Now, the object is to put as many walls as you can between you and the outside of the house, and that's why we say an interior room, a closet, a bathroom. When a tornado hits a house, again, not like the movies, doesn't just lift the house up and drop it on a witch. Usually what happens with a tornado warning is that tornado hits the house, and the first thing it does is blow out the windows. So damage from the windows, flying glass, debris, things like that. You want to go to an interior room or a closet. You want to go to the lowest floor, cover your head, get low. Some of the new recommendations that have been issued is you want to get a helmet on. If you have a bike helmet, that's great. It protects you from any flying debris. And you want to take your shoes with you, because once this thing is over, if there's broken glass all throughout the house, you do not want to have to worry about what you're stepping on. So just a little bit of tornado safety advice there. I'm going to go back to radar right now. We've got the latest radar image from the National Weather Service. We'll take a look and see what warnings we have. It'll take it just a moment to populate on my screen here. There we go. We continue to watch that tornado warning in effect until 5 o'clock for Edgecombe and Halifax counties. Both of those counties now, if you're in Scotland Neck, if you're north of Hobgood, you need to be in your safe spot. A lot of lightning associated with this. Severe thunderstorm warnings do continue for Northampton and Halifax counties as well. But it's that tornado warning we are on the air for. We are watching for rotation. Let's go into our velocity and see if we're seeing any more rotation. It looks like that northern rotation weakened considerably, and that's why they got rid of the National Weather Service, canceled that tornado warning. But if we go, I want to switch modes on this radar. Hold on, let me get up here to where we're focused, because yeah, there's still a little bit of rotation going on inside that. You can see what we're talking about is this bright green next to this burgundy, and this is where the rotation is occurring. It's just getting ready to cross the Northampton-Halifax County line, and that's working off toward the east, toward northeast, toward just north of Scotland Neck. But Scotland Neck, you're going to be on the southern end of that rotation. That's why you need to be in that area immediately. Let me go back to our hail tracker too, because this did have some pockets of heavy hail associated with it. We're still seeing it. Look at this right here. Let me zoom down in. First of all, if you live near Scotland Neck and State Highway 25, you need to be in your safe spot. Dawson Crossroads there. We're going to give you some of these streets on here real quick. Stallion Drive, Old 125 Road, Mercury Lane. If you're up near Moonlight Road, Bynum's Bridge Road, Mary Chapel Road, Night Farm Road, all of those places, you better have your car underneath some sort of overhang, because look at this hail. Where we see this dark green right here, this is at least ping pong ball size hail, getting up to golf ball size hail almost. At least the potential for it. Doesn't mean it's actually there, but this is the radar taking a look at what it's seeing in the atmosphere. It's seeing these. Not only can Doppler radar is an amazing tool. Not only does it show us where the raindrops are, it can show us which way they're pointed. But by using dual Doppler radar, dual pole Doppler radar, which everybody has access to, we have 3 of them that we can monitor here. It can not only see which way the raindrops are pointed, it can tell the difference between raindrops and hailstones. And so that's what it's doing. It's showing potential for this hail just south of here. Let's see if we can get a track on this. I'm going to zoom it out just a little bit, but it's headed towards Scotland Neck and Roseneath and Whitakers. I'm going to back this hill up just a little, and you can see this is moving almost due east. It's moving east-northeast at the most. It's moving right towards Scotland Neck. So Roseneath to Scotland Neck, if you're worried about hail, if you can get your car in to protect it, you need to do that. Get it in the garage or under a carport. That being said, carports still may be subject to the nasty winds associated with this. We're seeing an update from the National Weather Service. They're just starting to flash that tornado watch box or tornado warning box. Let's go back to it and see. It's still a tornado warning, still in effect till 5 o'clock. It looks like they've closed the back end of it a little bit. So Whitakers is in the clear now, but Scotland Neck, you're right in the heart of this. And Roseneath, that whole area between Whitakers and Scotland Neck, that's where the rotation is, that's where the rotation is moving, and that's where you need to be in your shelter immediately. We're not seeing any storm reports in just yet. I want to switch modes on the radar. So again, I talked about all the different things we can see on radar. If I go to the different radar sites we have, it'll take just a moment to call it up. And we can actually look at different things that the radar sees, like something we call the correlation coefficient. It'll show us if there's any rotation happening in there. It's kind of messy, but we can go to the spectrum width. Sometimes if there's debris being lofted into the atmosphere with the tornado, we're not seeing any real big signatures on that. Differential reflectivity, this just shows us the area. It doesn't matter what each one of these dots means, but this shows us that area they're concerned about. That's where we're seeing the rotation right now. And that just reinforces what we're seeing as far as the possible rotation inside this storm as it's moving off to the north and to the east. Again, if you're just joining us right now, it is 4:30. Thanks so much for spending part of your day with us. We continue team coverage. Meteorologist Robert Johnson and I are tracking a tornado warning in effect until 5 o'clock this afternoon. We're able to utilize both our workstations and all of the amazing tools we have in the First Alert Weather Center. Robert, what are you looking at right now?
Well, Big Weather, I was just looking at National Weather Service chat room and talking back and forth and seeing the conversation there. And something that they're noticing is something that you were just saying on the air moments ago, that we still have areas of rotation within that cell that is tornado warned, not too far from Whitakers. So let's go back to First Alert Doppler Net and pop everything up and give you a wide view. So we have plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings from Nash County spreading all the way up to the northeast into Northampton County. Of course, the main focus right now is that tornado warning in effect for Edgecombe and Halifax County for the next 30 minutes until the top of the 5 o'clock hour. So let's zoom in and let's simplify this map. It's a lot going on here. We'll take off the severe thunderstorm warning boxes, though those are still crucial. We'll take off the lightning, and by the way, there's plenty of lightning from Enfield all the way through Scotland Neck. Big Weather just talked about how dangerous that is. Here's the regular radar view that you're used to seeing with the heavy rain. That's the areas of orange and red and maroon. And then we will flip the radar site to the National Weather Service radar, and we're going to go to the velocity image. So notice that area you see there in purple. Before we go to the velocity image, which helps us to detect where the wind is going within the storm, some areas of rotation. But that area you see there in purple, sometimes when you see purple pop up on the radar, that's an indication that we could have some hail. And we talked about this earlier. We have been indicating some hail in and around Whitakers and areas to the east. So important to keep in mind. At this moment, we are overlooking I-95 in Halifax County. The roads are wet. You don't see a whole lot of movement on those trees, but you see a lot of rain coming down on the right side of your screen, cars traveling fast. And be sure that if you are traveling up and down I-95 during this holiday, during this Memorial Day, to make sure to take it easy, slow your roll. Of course, that could cause bad impacts if you happen to hit another vehicle on the road or get too close. So stay safe out there, even if you are not in a warning yourself. So let's go to the velocity scan image on this tornado warning, and we are still seeing areas of rotation just to the east of Whitakers, crossing over Edgecombe County, entering into Halifax County. This system continues to migrate to the northeast at approximately 20 miles per hour. What I want to do now is go back in time over about the past 15 to 30 minutes and see how the area of rotation has developed. It was in and around Whitaker's. That was at 409, just east of Whitaker's by 417, 418. Now we'll take you through 426, crossing over, continuing its track out of Edgecombe County into Halifax County. So let's do a track on this as we watch the system slide to the northeast at approximately 20 miles per hour. So here's an approximate timeline. If it holds together, it would be in Spring Hill at approximately 5:06, which is outside of the time of the warning, and even closer to Scotland Neck, say closer to about 4:45 if it holds together. But still, that warning is in place until the top of the 5 o'clock hour, and we'll continue to see how that develops. Something we haven't talked about too much today, but something that is still worth mentioning, is just how much rain has fallen. And we talked about this on Eyewitness News at noon, that if we do get storms to fire, then they're really going to hurt where they hit. So I will simplify this image here because there certainly is a lot going on, and take off the lightning and anything else that you see there. This is an indication of the amount of rain we've seen over the past 24 hours. Some of this can be a little bit overdone because hail can influence these estimates, but in general, we've been seeing anywhere from about an inch to almost 2 inches of rain, especially through portions of Nash County, Edgecombe County, Halifax County, from Rocky Mount all the way up into Enfield. Again, some of these amounts can be a little bit too much, but it's certainly something to be aware of. So yes, we have many threats that are there on the table. We have the severe thunderstorm warnings that you see. We have the twisting and the turnings of the wind on the radar image as we're going back to that on the velocity scan. Still seeing some areas of rotation nearing Scotland Neck, exiting out of Edgecombe County and pulling their way into Halifax County. All of this sliding to the northeast at approximately 20 miles per hour. So a lot of threats are on the table, and it's certainly something to be aware of. And as we get more of these showers and storms that continues to dump rain, it's important to know that flooding is a real threat here. So the number one weather-related killer in America is heat, but number two is flooding, and you never want to drive through any flooded roads. As we often like to say, turn around, don't drown. Just 6 inches of water can cause a car to stall, stranding you in the middle of flooded waters, and a foot of water, a fast-moving water, can carry away a small car. So think about a Toyota Corolla or a Hyundai Elantra, and then even more than that, 1.5 to 2 feet of fast-moving water can carry away most large SUVs like a Kia Sorento or a BMW X5. That can drift it away. So even if you are in a large SUV, and SUVs are becoming more common than sedans in America, don't think that you can just drive right through it and be okay. It's still very dangerous. You still want to be careful moving forward. All right, let's go back to First Alert DopplerNet and give you a wider view of all of what's happening across this region. Just now, we're starting to see a really strong cell pop up in northern sections of Wake County, in and around Zebulon, just to the south of Wake Forest, through 401. The reason why I'm talking about this is these other cells that we've been talking about that are well to the northeast of there started out just like this. They blossomed, well, they formed, they sparked, they really blossomed, and that helped them to grow even more and more, tapping into this really warm, humid environment. So even though there's no warning on that cell at this time, that is certainly something to watch. This is the Duke Energy outage map across the Carolinas, and Duke Energy is noting that there are plenty of power outages, no surprise there, across portions of Wake County, where most of our viewers live, and then areas to the northeast. And just northeast of there, just north of Clayton, about 1,000 outages, more than 100 outages in and around Raleigh, and about 1,000 outages so far across Greensboro at this time. Of course, they had some storms there earlier today. Would not be surprised at all to see more of those numbers pop up on the outage map, especially for areas up and down I-95 across portions of Nash County, Edgecombe County, into Halifax County. Of course, we don't want to see that, but that would not be a surprise as we get more showers and storms developing through this region. So, of course, we've talked about the tornado warning quite a bit. And we're going to come back and talk about that even more. I do want to talk to you, though, about the severe thunderstorm warning threat, because that cannot be discounted. These storms are packing some gusty winds, and we have several severe thunderstorm warnings here, basically from Rocky Mount through Enfield, off into Rich Square, just to the east of Roanoke Rapids. You see that live drive vehicle there, and the producer, if you can hear me, this is headed toward Edgecombe County. Do we know which road we're on for this shot to our right here? Okay, we'll get a frame for you on that. That way we can let you know where exactly we are. But this is headed toward Edgecombe County. We have a crew that is going there, checking out the scene. You see the gloomy skies as you are headed in that direction. So we see another severe thunderstorm warning box populating just to the north and east of Rocky Mount. And we just got an update there for you. So that box that you're seeing off to the right, that is US 64 headed toward Edgecombe County. And of course, if we learn anything more about what's happening in Edgecombe County with our on-the-ground reporting, we'll be sure to let you know. So as mentioned, another severe thunderstorm warning box popping up. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for northeastern Nash and northwestern Edgecombe County. And that warning is in effect for just a little bit longer here until 4:45. So important to know that, because these storms are quickly moving to the northeast and they're packing really strong winds.
And so, Robert, and just so folks know, this is not this is just the first round of showers. We have the potential to see these storms popping really all afternoon and evening. That's why the National Weather Service has issued a tornado watch in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. It's easier to list the counties in our viewing area that are not under this watch. And for that, the counties not under that tornado watch, that includes Moore County, Lee County, Chatham, Orange, Alamance, Durham, and Person. Every other county, if I didn't say your county right there, you're under a tornado watch. Remember, a watch means we're watching the situation. Doesn't mean you will see a tornado, but it means the potential is there to see a tornado. It's like when you're making a pizza. You got your cheese, you got your pepperoni, you got your dough. You've got it all sitting on the countertop. You have all the ingredients to make pizza, doesn't mean you're going to have pizza. When a warning is issued, that means you're having pizza. The pizza's been made. When a tornado warning is issued, and that's what this red dot is right here, that's that tornado warning that is in effect until 5 o'clock this afternoon that we continue to watch. And let me go back to radar right now. We'll take a look at the latest radar update from our First Alert Doppler Net, our network of live radar scanning the skies. This tornado warning continues until 5 o'clock for Scotland Next. Scotland Next right in the heart of this right now. This pink box right here, this is a tornado warning. The entire area is surrounded by yellow. They're going to continue it until 5 o'clock. You see how it's flashing there. Let's see if we can get a better idea of where the rotation is inside that storm. Robert, what do you got?
Yeah, and the big news with that update, so as mentioned, whenever you see those blinking lights for that warning, that's an indication we have an update. The big update here is that the warning is no longer in effect for Halifax County. It's just in effect, no longer in effect for Edgecombe County, I should say. It's just in effect for Halifax County. And if we can come back to me just for a moment so I can show you this, and that way I can really point it out to you right here face to face. So obviously we're on our velocity scan. That's where you have the reds and the greens close together. We've said it a bunch of times, but if we're just joining us, it's good to know that green indicates wind moving toward the radar site, red indicates wind moving away from the radar site, and where you have the twisting and the turning of the winds, where you have the green and the red close together, that indicates areas of rotation. And this storm is still moving to the northeast at approximately 20 miles per hour. So now the area of rotation, the threat is out of Edgecombe County, just now in Halifax County, headed to the northeast at approximately 20 miles per hour and inching its way towards Scotland Neck. And if we can put a couple streets on here, I'll zoom in even tighter and we can take this image full. That way you can see it even better. So some streets, or some towns at least I'll give you, is Mullins Crossroads. We'll dive in a little bit closer, where we have Sand Pit Road, as well as Mullen Road, Phillips Road, Old 125, Old 125 Road. We'll get in even a little bit closer here. Yep, more of Sand Pit Road and Douglas Hill Farm Road. So if you are in that area, you certainly want to take shelter. And now a new scan just coming in. Notice how fast it jumped. And this is what I mean when I say if you're watching us on our streaming services, you're getting this information station 1 to 2 minutes later than everybody else because there is a bit of a delay. And notice how fast that jumped with the latest scan of First Alert Doppler Net. I've been to Scotland Neck, some wonderful people there who are really dedicated to the community.
Yep.
And we don't know that there's a tornado in this area, but you still want to proceed as if there is. But this area of rotation is headed there.
And I'll tell you what, Halifax County, their EMA director reporting basically whiteout conditions with driving rain and wind is so bad it's lowered visibility to 0 in spots. So that is a reason you just stay inside. Even if there isn't a tornado, you want to be in that safe space. This is something, if you want to think of this as thunderstorm energy, the official term is CAPE. That's convective available potential energy. Where we see burgundy areas, this is where the thunderstorms that are firing have all the energy, everything to make a tornado. And that is why they've issued that watch. Notice these eastern counties with some very extreme CAPE, that thunderstorm fuel is the easiest way to think about it. It's the fuel for a thunderstorm. That's CAPE, right? And if we have these high amounts, that's what triggers those tornado warnings. So that's what we're seeing right there. Now, if we go back to radar, it's right in that area of pink, right out here, Northampton County and Edgecombe County. That's where we're seeing those strong thunderstorms. That thunderstorm fuel is present. It's there. It's able to fire these storms. And that's why we're seeing such intense storms. Ton of lightning associated with this, too. The difference between lightning, positive and negative strikes, you get more positive strikes when there's more potential for a thunderstorm, or for a tornado, excuse me. So we can actually go up. Let me go, because I was preparing this for 5 o'clock just as we started to see these tornadoes fire. I'm going to call up our visible satellite picture. It'll take you just a moment to load this data because this is a lot of data for it to think of. Don't worry, it's going black just for a second. Here we go. So, where the black areas are, we're looking at our visible satellite and we're looking at our lightning. We're able to see the lightning strikes, negative and positive. The positive ones are big plus signs. Look at all the plus signs up through there. That's a ton of positive lightning. That is a ton of what you need to fire a tornado. Back to the west, this is all sunshine from Greensboro down to Sanford. These areas are not under that watch. However, the sun is breaking out still. It hasn't gone down yet. So that is helping to fuel these thunderstorms, to add energy to the atmosphere. And then, of course, we see all that lightning up to the north. Let's go back to radar as we continue to track this storm. And I want to see if we can pick out some of the rotation inside the storm. First, we'll go to the radar picture, which is right here, which is loading. It's loading. There we go. And this shows us all the red. So Doppler radar sends out an invisible beam. It hits the raindrops. It bounces back. The more raindrops it hit, the brighter the color, right? So that's how we know where the heaviest rain is and where pockets of ice are and possibly hail is, because that beam goes out and it hits them and it bounces back to the radar site. Well, let's take a look at what's happening as far as rotation inside this storm. I want to go to velocity. We're still seeing some rotation right west of Scotland Neck. It's right over Mullins Crossroads headed toward Charleston. Spring Hill, you should be in your safe spot. This is State Highway 258 right here. That's what would create a tornado. This is a Doppler radar indicated tornado. We do not have confirmation of a tornado on the ground. That being said, the National Weather Service has shortwave radio operators called Skywarn. They've been activated. They're watching right now. These weather spotters are out and watching for any tornado to spin up. We haven't seen any reports yet. If we do, we'll get those to you. And that's an easy way for us to pass along. But we are seeing rotation inside this storm. Let's go back and check our hail, because I think the potential still is to see some nasty hail. Now, this has gotten smaller. That's good news. Now we're seeing some just bright orange on here west of Scotland Neck. At one point, this was almost the potential to see at least ping pong ball size hail. When we start to see this is pea size. So it is getting smaller. That means the storm is weakening a little bit. Doesn't mean you're out of the woods just yet. I'm sorry, producer, say again. Oh, we have the live drive vehicle up there. Oh yeah, you can see. So on the right-hand side, you can see the live drive just starting to get into that heavier rain. We've been sending our photographers out into that area, headed up toward Northampton County. They're starting to see some heavier rain on the windshield, not seeing any hailstones, so that's good news. We don't want to send them into something dangerous, but that has weakened a bit. Now, if we go back to our storm relative velocity, I want to get back on this because you can see the rotation happening just west of Scotland Neck, right in this area, down toward Roseneath. I hope I'm saying that right. That's the first time we've had that on our maps. Roseneath. But this is the rotation that's happening as it's sliding up to the north and to the east with that first alert Doppler picture. And there are other warnings to deal with. Robert's tracking those while I'm talking about this tornado warning. Robert, what are some of the other warnings you're seeing right now here? I know we have several severe thunderstorm warnings on top of this.
We really do, Don. So let's go back and strike you from the top as you prepare for our top of our 5 o'clock news. So a broad view here, we have a tornado watch that's in place from Mecklenburg County in Virginia through Wake County down into Cumberland, Hoke, and Scotland County, and areas to the east basically touching I-95 and out toward the coast. That's the area in yellow. And then that area you see there in red across eastern Halifax County, that is your tornado warning. So let's go to First Alert Doppler Net and give you a wide view of these storms, and we're still seeing more showers and storms pop up. As we talked about on Eyewitness News at noon, once those storms emerge, they're really going to blossom, but they have to emerge first. So where it rains, it pours, and that's what's been happening today. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings that are still in place, basically for part of Edgecombe County, and I will fix this view that way you're able to see a lot better. It's part of Edgecombe County into Halifax County, Northampton County as well. We'll take off the tornado warning box for a second, just show you all that lightning, the heavy rain indicated by the areas you see there in orange and in red and in maroon. Gusty winds, heavy rain, and as mentioned, loads of lightning. Of course, the main reason why we're doing wall-to-wall coverage right now is because we have a tornado warning that is still in place for eastern sections of Halifax County. And there you see the regular radar view for this storm. Let's go to the velocity scan because we're still getting more updates as these storms continue to migrate to the east. And this storm is headed right towards Scotland Neck. It's headed right toward Scotland Neck. We don't know if we officially have a tornado with this, but you do want to take your precautions regardless. You want to play it safe, get to your safe place right now. It's just north of Mullins Crossroads, sliding to the northeast at 20 miles per hour, headed toward 258, Scotland Neck. It's right there. And as mentioned, both Don and I, we're very familiar with that area and have spent some time there. So if you know anybody there, even if you're not from there yourself, give them a call. Make sure that they know what to do. Let's put some roads down. That way you can see this for yourself. Clarksville Drive, Church Street, if you're hearing my voice and you're in that area, make sure you are getting to your safe place. Phillips Drive, as well as Old 125 Road. We'll get a couple more in there. Elk Court, Route 125, Sand Pit Road. So if you are in that region, you certainly want to get to your safe place right now. Something I would like to do for this type of situation is indicate where that rotation has gone. And now an update just coming in. I was getting ready to show you something else, but an update just coming in. A little bit of rotation there along Scotland Neck.
Robert, they are canceling that tornado warning for Halifax County.
Yeah.
So this is a heads up to our news partners. This is canceling a little bit early, but we do have that tornado warning now canceled for the area. So that is good news. Bad news is still a lot of storm activity out there, severe thunderstorm activity that we continue to monitor.